We welcome you back to CBS Mornings and more coverage of the midterm elections. Right now, we're taking a close look at the political power of women. For decades, women have held a majority in the electorate. Back in 2018 midterms, they made up 52% of the voters. That's compared to 48% for the men. So we spoke with 4 women of different backgrounds from across the country about what's driving them to the polls. Why are they going? We're going to start with Irene Caudillo. She is 57 years old. She's a Democrat from Kansas. Bonnie Barton is 80 years old. She's a Republican from Georgia. Brianna Day is 18. She is voting for the first time from Texas. She's a registered independent. She told us she's nervous but very excited about this. And Imani Samuels is a Democrat from Washington, D.C. Here's what they told us about issues that matter to them ahead of tomorrow's elections.
So everybody knows economy and inflation are top issues for women voters. You would agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. Even though I am retired and 80, I still think about finding a job to supplement.
Wow.
I'm whatever. I know I can do something. I've got a fairly sharp mind.
No, you have a very sharp mind. But do you want to work? Do you want to? Or are you doing it because you think you have to?
I think I want to. Right now, I'm taking care of my brother, who is slightly disabled, and my husband, who may come home from a nursing home. What I want to do is take some of the pressure off of my children, who have been helping me.
Are you one of those women voters where it is top of mind for you, and has your budget been affected?
Yes, it is absolutely top of mind for me and the CFO of our household, my husband.
The CFO of the household, your husband?
Yes.
Who is the CEO?
I mean, is there
There's no doubt.
But we have regular reviews of our budget, and gas definitely has gone up. We are paying a lot in groceries. At one point in time, lunch at school for our kids was free because of COVID. We are now back to paying their lunch every day,
Which adds up.
Which adds up.
And let's talk about abortion. That also seems to be a hot button issue where people seem to break among party lines. It seems to be very top of mind for Democratic women and not so much for Republican women as we sit and look at the numbers. Is that an issue that will drive you to the polls one way or the other?
Yes, it will drive me to the polls. With the political polarization that we have in this country, everyone's on different sides and super extreme. And when it comes to an abortion and the sanctity of life, I think that's an issue where we need to maybe be in the gray area. We can't be black and white, if that makes sense. I also think the overturning of Roe v. Wade is sending a lot of girls my age to the polls, and I see that amongst my friends. We all feel very passionately in our own ways. I also can't see no abortion at all without respect of rape, incest, or the mother's life.
Did the Supreme Court do the right thing in overturning Roe v. Wade? Imani, you go first on that.
I mean, absolutely not. I think that to be in a woman's body is a very special thing. And to have had 2 of my own, if I didn't feel confident in raising them and nourishing them in such a prosperous way, I want a choice.
Bonnie, did the Supreme Court do the right thing in overturning Roe v. Wade?
What they did was they sent it back to the states, didn't they? So it's a state's issue now. And
But they did overturn it.
I believe it, yeah. I believe that every state needs to make that decision. Every voter in each state need to make that decision. That's being an individual.
So that was, they did the right decision.
Yeah, I believe so.
Brianna?
I agree with Bonnie. I also think they made the right decision. It's up to the state government, it's up to their Congress to make that decision. So it's not completely gone away, per se.
Irene?
Yeah. I'm shocked that the decision was made. I think about my daughters. I do not think they made the right decision. I think.
But what about the point, it's not gone away, it's not going to be up to the states?
All
What is
right,
it?
so
Yeah.
now every state has to battle. So Kansas just have battled an issue on their ballot in the primaries, and it was not just Democrat women that came out. I'm thankful for the Republican white women, diverse women who made a decision that felt that this is truly a women's health issue, should be discussed with a professional doctor that determines what is right for the individual and what's right for their situation. So I think we're making it difficult by passing it to the state.
Yeah, many people would agree with you and say it now makes things much more complicated.
It is more complicated.
It's a complicated issue. And I also think just because we do agree, or me and Bonnie agree that it was the right decision, doesn't mean we don't care about women's health. Because to us...
I didn't say that. I didn't say you didn't care.
It's about, like, life, you know?
Right.
And we have different perspectives, and...
You do. And I'm not saying you don't care about the baby or you don't care about the woman. I'm just saying, to me, that is such a personal decision.
The last presidential election was top of mind, too.
I guess one of the reasons I like President Trump was he says we're going to build a wall, and he did it. Well, almost.
President Trump also says that the election was stolen. Do you believe the election was stolen?
I don't know.
You don't?
I honestly don't know.
Really?
I really don't.
Court hearing.
And
Yeah, there have
quite
been board
frankly,
it's true.
It
To
doesn't
every
matter.
point. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter at this point. We are where we are. We need to figure out how we're going to get to a better place.
Is anybody at the table concerned about voter fraud for this election?
I think I'm more worried about what constraints and what we've done to make it harder to vote, because there's so much discussion about fraud that has not been introduced.
Do you believe the last election was stolen?
I don't think so. I think it would be very hard to steal an entire election, but also at the same time there were investigations into it, multiple investigations, which had no
Which turned up
results.
Nothing.
What do you all think is at stake this election?
I think personal freedom is at stake. Humanity is at stake. I think about all of these things. They're all levers. Being able to feel confident in your livelihood, that's something we need.
Oh my goodness, what's at stake is movement forward, opportunity to rebuild after the pandemic in a way that values people over politics.
I think they all agree with that, people over politics. It's interesting when you get people together to have a coherent conversation. It really can be done, because clearly, as you see, they didn't all agree on everything. But I think at the bottom line, everybody is just exhausted by all of this. I don't care who you believe, what party you are, everybody's just exhausted. They want this day to be over so we can move forward in whatever that is going to mean.
Yeah, that's the big question, is if we move forward, or whether the disappointment from one election lingers and creates this sense of ongoing exhaustion. You can argue we've been exhausted by elections for many different cycles now.
Yes.
For sure. At the very base of it, you feel that people just want their future to be tailor-made for their needs.
Yes.
But there has to be some compromise if we're going to get along collectively as a country.
Yeah, and another thing is also, maybe politics doesn't have to keep being at the center of your life all the time.
Yes.
Like, you can have a chance to think about something else, but
Right.
people don't feel like they have the luxury to do that
Especially this
anymore.
time of year.